Right. Hey, folks. So today's topic is going to be the heavy, light, medium system for bodybuilding. Now, it's been a while since I've talked about this, but it's a great system. And I want to just talk to you a bit about the routine, the system, what it's about, why you should at least have some experience with it, because it's a great method of training for hypertrophy. It is one of my favorite methods and also the subject of my most popular ebook, The Wizard. Now, before we go on, I want to ask you all to hit like, also subscribe. Quite a lot of you aren't subscribed to the content, and the more I ask, the more people seem to sign up. So go ahead and do that. And also for the super fans, hit the bell notification so you get notified of my new videos. Right, let's carry on. Now, full body training systems are great. They have a bunch of advantages, which I'm going to talk over across the course of this video. And one of the key concepts which allows us to do full body properly is the heavy, light, medium system. Now, it would be great if we could go in the gym every day and just train heavy. At a certain point of advancement, you can't do that because the joints get beaten up. You can't replicate the same level of performance on Monday that you did on Wednesday or on Friday. So you have to change things up a little bit. You have to vary things. And one of the ways that we vary things is via poundages, via rest periods, via rep ranges, via exercises. And all of that allows for more variety, which makes it easier to train the muscle over and over again, multiple times per week. Because the goal is we want to have more growth opportunities throughout the week. If we train a muscle group twice a week, that's 2 growth opportunities. If we're training the muscle 3, 4, maybe more times a week, that's more growth opportunities. And that's what heavy, light, medium system allows us to do, because the body is getting the variety it needs, not to get stale, not to burn out, not to overdo things. So the heavy, light, medium system allows increased variety, which means we can do more during the course of the week, more frequency and generally more volume, and we can do more without burning out. So one of the key concepts with all this is understanding that hypertrophy training is very forgiving. There is a wide range of reps which dictate good hypertrophy. So we don't just have to be restricted to one style of training. If you look across at the realm of bodybuilding, you'll have guys who really focus in on the 5 to 10 range. You'll have other guys who focus in on the higher range, who do things like high rep, giant sets, supersets, all that kind of stuff. Now, in this system, you have the ability to do everything across the same week. It's a great system. And if you want to try a little bit of everything, this routine has it. Over the course of this video, I wanted to discuss understanding the heavy, light, medium system, talking through the heavy days, talking through the light days, the medium days, and I also want to touch on some of the advanced implementations when you might add more days, because typically speaking, it starts with 3 days a week, which is great, and then we can advance that on. For you guys who like to be in the gym a bit more often, like I do, there are ways of implementing more days because the variety allows us to do that. I think the main thing to really understand is that what we're trying to do is have as much fresh, useful volume as possible. Let's say we're doing 12 sets per body part per week, okay? Or 16. Now, the more of those sets we have to do on one single day, the more that towards the end of that day, the volume is going to start to enter into the realms of perhaps junk volume, okay? It might not be as effective. Now, when you have the heavy, light, medium system, you are splitting that volume up across the days so that each day you can approach those sets fresh for the muscle, because it's had at least 24, maybe 48 hours to recover. So in that sense, you're approaching it fresh. Each of those sets is higher quality than if you did it all on one day. That's what the heavy, light, medium system is built on. It's built on this idea that we're trying to get as much useful volume as possible. Also, this is a routine which is really, really good for people who do like to work just 3 days a week. If you just have about 3 days a week to train, this is an amazing system to help you gain, because then you're getting a good amount of quality volume. Also, you're getting high frequency, more growth opportunities, all for just 3 days a week in the gym. And if you're the kind of guy who wants to be in the gym more often, we can do more volume. The next thing to understand is each of the days, heavy, light, and medium, they are identified by predominantly different exercises, but also different rep ranges and different rest periods. Now, the final one, rest periods, is a little bit more controversial, but actually as you'll see over the course of this video, it's really not that controversial, because the light days, which have the shorter rest periods, are there for not only hypertrophy, but they are there for active recovery as well. So it makes sense within the context of the wider routine. I want to just delve into the world of research for a second now. Not a massive fan of hypertrophy research anymore, but I want to delve into it. And there has been some pretty good information on whether people respond better to lower reps or higher reps. And I think it's quite interesting, because some of the early studies on this looked at groups of people, looked at the progress they made with higher reps and lower reps, and they found that on average, there was no real difference. And this is where you guys see the figure of 5 to 30 reps being equally as effective. You guys have probably heard of that, right? However, if we look more closely at the studies, we can see that there were individual differences. As you'd expect, within that group, across the group, which is a large group of people, of course, some people will like lower reps, some people will like higher reps. People respond to different things. And that's effectively what we see. So this is useful for us, because if you are always doing one style of training where you're only doing, say, heavy work or only light work, you're never really taking advantage. And also, the other thing is, very often with hypertrophy, the best thing to do is the thing that we were previously not doing. The best thing is change. Whereas in this system, you're always changing. It's part of the system. It's part of the system to do everything. How good is that? It's built into the system to change things day by day. You do heavy days, light days, medium days, which are all drastically different. You get the advantage of a wide range of training modalities, which are going to be great for hitting all types of muscle fiber growth. Now, in terms of how I like to structure the days, I like all body parts covered with an exercise. Yes, that's a lot of work. That may well be up to 9 exercises a day. Now, the thing with that is, specifically because it's a hypertrophy routine, you can't afford to take 10 minutes rest between sets of squats and deadlifts. You have to get moving, you have to go. Now, some of you will have the response that, well, if I don't take at least 5 minutes between sets of squats, then my performance is going to go down. And my reply would be, so it doesn't matter. We're not there to lift while we're fresh. We are there to do hard working sets. That's all. We are not there to have the best performance and be the freshest. So you don't have to rest 10 minutes. It's not a powerlifting routine. You don't have to be fresh to grow. And the other thing which will save you time is, I don't actually mind if people drop down to just 1 or 2 top sets of lower body lifts. They tend to not need quite as much volume as the upper body needs to grow. So I don't mind if you do 1 top set of squats within the confines of a heavy day. I don't mind if you do maybe just 2 top sets of leg presses within the confines of a medium day. That's fine. The lower body tends to respond perfectly well to lower volumes, whereas it's the upper body that really needs more work. So that is something else which is worth bearing in mind and will save you time. I think also supersets and varying rest periods are mandatory. On the heavy day, I would ask you to superset pretty much everything. And on the light day and the medium day, you're not going to be in the gym as long anyway, because the rest periods are going to be shorter. Those are just some general principles for understanding the heavy, light, medium system. Now, let's go into the heavy days. The purpose of the heavy day within the heavy, light, medium system is to have that one day of the week where you're really going like nice and primal, you're lifting heavy, it's cathartic. Everyone loves it, right? It allows for strength gain as well as size gain. So it's a combination of strength and size on that day. It's bodybuilding, but with the dual emphasis on size and strength, all right? Just some example exercises which you might want to do, things like squats, deadlifts, bench presses, these are all perfectly viable. But equally speaking, you have lifts like a stiff leg deadlift, which is fine. Maybe you prefer a nice hammer strength chest press rather than a bench press. That's fine too. There is a range of exercises you can do on a heavy day. You can stick to barbells, you can use good machines, but the point is they have to allow you to lift heavy in that roughly 5 to 6 rep range. On that note, I want to just emphasize the importance of safety on your heavy day. Okay, your heavy day is where you are lifting the heaviest weights of the week. It's important to be safe, to pick variations which you can do safely and do them in a manner which is safe. Usually that will mean more controlled rep speed. It will mean exercises which you are comfortable in performing. Okay. Now, probably the biggest complaint about the heavy day is that it's just too much. Okay, I understand the attitude. I understand the complaints. For some people, doing the full body heavy all on 1 day per week is just too much. They don't have the work capacity. They don't have the conditioning. I would suggest that complaint is solved by, first of all, not being a little bitch. And then, secondly, understanding that if you feel like you can't get through a single heavy day without it crushing you, then maybe that's exactly what you need to work on. Maybe that should be the key to unlocking some size gains for you. Maybe if you improved your work capacity and were able to get through a heavy day competently, maybe that would take your physique to the next level because it would unlock the ability to work harder. So maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe it would be a good mental training for yourself, toughness. I would suggest one thing with heavy day though. Place it on a day where you can lift, you can go home and you can relax. Typically speaking, when I'm doing this style of training, I will have my heavy day on a weekend, either a Saturday or a Sunday, where I can go back home and just relax. A Sunday morning, hit the gym, I'm well fed, maybe after a cheat meal Saturday night, and I can go and just go all out, go heavy, and then relax the rest of the day Sunday. Now, we'll move on to the light day. In terms of the importance and the role of the light day, I really think this is where the light days are kind of misunderstood, because people really don't understand the whole idea of light days and the rest periods being so short. I recommend about 60 seconds or less between sets on the light day, and people think that's a bit odd. Now, the thing to remember with a light day is it is a growth day, but it's also an active recovery day. I think the light days are invaluable in helping you recover from the heavy days. And you'll notice in my routines, I typically have a light day very soon after a heavy day. If not the day after, then maybe 48 hours after. It is going to promote growth, but it's also going to promote active recovery and allowing you to do more during the week, building up your work capacity, so that over time you can perhaps do more medium days or more heavy days. That's the real benefit of the light day. It does provide some hypertrophy, but also very good active recovery and building your work capacity for the future. In terms of some exercises which you might want to do, I would mostly stick to isolation exercise on this day. Think about things like leg extensions, leg curls. This is also a good day for prehab exercises. Cable face pull for the external rotator cuff, those are pretty good. Sissy squats for your knee health, those are pretty good. Hamstring curls, these are all pretty good exercises. So you want a nice combination of exercises which are light enough that they can be done for higher reps, but also potentially some which are going to actually help support the body recover from the heavy sessions, like prehab movements. Now, in terms of the light days, one of the main complaints I have read about the light days is that people don't find them to be as motivational as the heavy days. They kind of don't see the point. And I get that. If you're young, and let's say you're not that strong yet, well, you might not need a light day. If that's the case, if you're going into a light day and you're thinking this is too light, this is too easy, I'm not in any pain, I don't need prehab, then fine, don't do a light day, do a medium day. Make the middle day more of a medium day, make it more challenging. It's okay to do that. You don't have to stick to the rules. You can be flexible, okay? Because if you don't need an active recovery day, if you're not benching very much weight, if you're not squatting very much weight, then maybe you don't need a light day. Just make it a little bit heavier, okay? On that note, we'll now go into the medium day. If the heavy days verged on strength and the light days verged on active recovery, the medium days are right in the middle, and they are pretty much pure hypertrophy days. They are right in that ideal rep range for growth. The medium days strike a balance between the heavy and the light days in terms of intensity and volume. Now, at this point, it's just important to once again recognize that it's really important to vary the rep ranges for all the reasons that I gave at the start of the video. Some people like going heavy, some people prefer going light. With this routine, you get a bit of everything, heavy, light, and medium in between, which is great. Now, in terms of sample exercises that you might do, here is where I do predominantly things like machine exercises, also use some dumbbells, maybe some barbells on this day, depends what they are. But typically speaking, I'm using machines and dumbbells. Essentially, it's that midpoint between super heavy exercises and isolations. I would definitely still use compounds on this day for sure. Some isolations are fine, maybe for the arms, for example, but in general, using compounds. In terms of finishing this out with some sample full body routines, let's take a sample heavy day. Let's say bench press, weighted chins, okay? Some type of squat, whatever your favorite type of squat is. You want a heavy hip hinge, something like a stiff leg deadlift would be fine. 1 set of squats, 1 set of stiff legs, perhaps 3 sets of benches and weighted chins. The benches and weighted chins will be supersetted to save time, okay? The squat, 1 set, as you're warming up, you're ramping up, you might also do some calf work as well. Just grab a dumbbell, do some single leg calf work to save time again. Then going on to the deadlift, the stiff leg deadlift, as you warm up through the sets to your 1 final set at the end, you might do some ab work. So you're going to fit in about 3 sets of abs. You're saving yourself time. Then you go on to the rest of the routine. You might want to hit an overhead press, maybe a standing overhead press, maybe a seated overhead press, maybe like an AD press, something like that. Then we want to go on to arms, hit something for the biceps, something like a barbell curl, something for the triceps, maybe something like a skull crusher with higher reps. The bicep and the tricep work don't have to be lower reps. They can be higher reps. You don't really want to do sets of 5 for the barbell curls and tricep extensions. That's probably going to wreck your elbows. Be sensible. You don't have to rigidly stick to the routine just because it's written down as lower reps. Feel free to go higher on the exercises where it makes sense, okay? That's all variable too. Like me, for example, I don't do 5s at all anymore. I would do 8s on the heavy day. That's fine for me. For you, you might prefer 5s, whatever, okay? So that'd be a sample heavy day. I think I've covered all that. Now, in terms of sample light day, that would be using predominantly isolation exercises. You'd probably go with something like a cable crossover for the chest, or a pec deck, or dumbbell flies. The upper back would respond quite well to pull downs, maybe pullovers. Straight arm pull downs are good too. Lower body, you're looking at things like leg extensions, leg curls. You get the idea, right? Exercises which you can do, which are going to be conducive for higher reps, okay? The medium day is that nice day in the middle, which is using compounds, but with slightly higher reps than you would do on the heavy day. Now, I'm going to do a quick segment, very quick segment on advanced training. This is the idea of adding in more days. When it comes to full body training and adding days, volume ramps up pretty quickly. It's just going to warn you on this, right? If you go from 3-day a week to 4-day a week, you've effectively added in 30% extra volume. That's a lot, right? It's a big increase. You've got to be careful with that. There's a big increase in recovery demands, but also a big increase in stimulus, which may result in a lot more size. My first incantation of this is to go from heavy light medium to heavy light medium medium. So typically speaking, heavy light, then a day off, then medium, then a day off, then medium and a day off. So that's 7 days. The step after that would be heavy light medium, heavy medium. The way that I would do this is heavy light, medium, first 3 days, wham, 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 straight away, then take a day off, then go heavy, then go medium, and then take a day off. That would be 7 days. And finally, if you were to do 6 days a week, which is a very advanced thing, by the way, these progression steps will take about 6 months at a time. So to go from 3 days to 6 days a week, you're looking at about 2 years of progression. Do it slowly. When it comes to 6 days a week, I would probably structure it as heavy, light, medium, light, heavy, medium, and then take a day off. So that every heavy day comes after either a light day or a day off completely. And the rest of the time you are training on fatigue. If this last section on advanced training completely went over your head, fine, don't worry about it. I do have an ebook on this which explains how to do that, but if it all sounds a bit too complicated, don't worry about it. Stick to the basic 3-day week and slowly work into higher volumes if you ever need to, okay? So, in conclusion, I love the heavy light medium system. I think it's great. It's still my favorite way to train. You get to do a wide range of different modalities of training. You get to be the guy who trains heavy, who does really primal, animalistic lifts. You get to be that guy. But you also get to be the guy who does really stylized bodybuilding training. And you get everything in between. All that in one routine, in 1 week. It is awesome. I would advise you all to, at least once in your life, give it a good honest try for like 6 months. Now, I have an ebook which details all of this, how to implement it. The ebook is designed as a full system of training. It's not just a routine. It is a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, from beginner to advanced. It is a very complete book. And if you purchase that, you also get lifetime access to any updates as well for free, which is good. So you can find that on my website. The link's down below in the description. Right, folks, I am going to call it there. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. If you have any questions, just pop them down below. Other than that, do make sure you like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you're interested in coaching, there's a link in the description as well. Hopefully that was useful for you. It was informative. And if you're looking for a new routine, then why not give it a try? Right. Speak to you all soon. Take care.